So I'm in editing mode for this video you're about to see regarding this retaining wall. Forgot about the three most important things that you're going to need heavy equipment for this job, potentially, not for everybody. So we're going to cover that and then we'll get into the video. Okay, first piece of equipment is going to be your skid steer. That is the official name of this. When I was a kid, I only knew it as a Bobcat. It may have been the only brand in our area, but my dad called it that. He had two of them. I learned how to drive them. They're kind of cool. But you're going to use this to move soil around, to move your rock around, to transport items from one side of your property to the other, or to load up for things you can't quite carry very far. It's great for that too. But for any kind of landscaping, you want to try to make sure you're not sending a ton of water to your wall to begin with. So if you can build up an area, you can use a laser level just to kind of figure out the lay of the land, but that's not required. If you can figure out how to make the water fall away from your wall, or not as much toward it, that's good. Runs about $369 a day in my area to rent. And that doesn't include the trailer. Then you have the excavator, $339 a day for this one, and this is going to help you dig deep holes if you have to dig down deep along your foundation. If you have to dig a foot or two down, make sure you have your utilities marked when you do this, so you don't cut lines or something. But you're going to use this to dig down to fill gravel in and compact it. So you have to have one of these. Finally, the compaction device, because you're going to want to compact the rock as much as possible and as flat as possible to sit your wall on top of and lock in that bottom layer. Those run anywhere from I think $100 to $150 a day. So keep in mind that doesn't include trailers, but these you can actually probably just fit in your vehicle out in the parking lot. Hey everybody, welcome back to Learning to DIY. We're going to go over the tools that we need to do the retaining wall. It also includes materials, because in this case tools are materials and materials are tools in a lot of ways. So if you want to go look back and look at my previous video, you can see what we're going to use or what we're going to need to do. Part of that is shoring up the deck, so we're going to start there. Let's take a look at what we've got. Okay, so these are brackets. This one goes on the ground, and you can fit a 4x6 in there, held in by 2 screws on the bottom. That should be adequate. And then at the top, use this hurricane tie. These are going to screw into the joist of the deck. And we'll go back and show you the 4x6s. They're pretty huge. So we're going to use two kinds of pipe. We're going to use PVC, and we're going to use just one length of PVC because I already have it. It's 12 foot long, but anyway, if you're going to use PVC or corrugated, this is corrugated pipe, and we'll show you a big roll of it down there. But this is a connector, so you have one pipe will go in here, one pipe will go in here, and usually it's just straight as a connector. This is in case you need to run a third pipe out for drainage or whatever. If you have a tall enough wall, a long enough wall, you'll want to put a third pipe through the wall to drain out to relieve additional pressure. Okay, this is a coupling that goes from a PVC pipe to a corrugated pipe. So PVC will go in this side, and you tighten it down, connect it to your corrugated pipe on this side, tighten it down. Comes with those clamps. So this is a grate. This grate will prevent critters from getting up in the pipe. So you put this on the end when you're done putting the pipe in. So if it's going to daylight, which means if it's going to empty out into the back of your yard or something, you'll put that on the end so that small animals and things can't get in the pipe to cause trouble. This is an adhesive, and it's mainly meant for PVC. So when you're joining PVC pipe, you'll want to put on a primer, which is the purple, and then the orange is the adhesive, and you put those on the pipe to seal them together. Your gravel at the very bottom of the wall is level, so you have to have a level. A longer level the better, so that you can make sure you are level, to make sure it's packed down level. Additionally, if you're going to be on the ground a lot, I recommend a knee pad. These are very cheap at Harbor Freight, and you will need to protect your knees if you're going to be on them a lot. My father owned a construction company, and he did concrete all his life, and along with a bunch of other stuff, and his knees were shot by the time he was in his 40s, early 40s really. Anyway, protect your knees. You're going to need something to saw through the blocks, and this is a blade, and it's a 4.5-inch blade that goes on an angle grinder, and you can get a 5-inch angle grinder or a 7-inch angle grinder. 4.5 will do, because you really only have to saw through just a little bit on each side. And one of the things I do not have to show you is I'll need to get a dead blow hammer to once you saw through it, to hit it to break it off, and then you would use an angle grinder with a grinding tool to grind it smooth wherever it breaks, so that it looks good. Between the landscape blocks, you're going to need a landscape construction adhesive, and that's going to keep those blocks in place along with just their own weight. And one thing you are also going to need is a chisel that's meant for masonry. This is a Dasco, it's a Home Depot product, and that's going to be very handy for cutting block. Sometimes you have to chip off pieces to make it fit places, or just be ready for that, because I'm already seeing where I'm going to have to do that. So these are some of the tools that we're going to use. We have 2 piles of aggregate. Some people call it stone, some people call it aggregate. The engineer term is stone. The technical term for a lot of math nerds is aggregate, and rock quarries and stuff sometimes call it aggregate. But this is 1 inch, so you want an average of like 1 inch rock. So whoa, it's very sunny out. Anyway, that's 1 inch rock, and you can go up to 2-inch rock, probably. That's going to fill in behind the wall. This is just to kind of give you an idea. Usually your average dump truck, big one, there are different sizes of big though. That right there, there's a little big smoker right there to give you the size comparison. But that is 20 tons of 1 inch rock. This is pea-size gravel, and is much smaller, and this is great for putting around the pipe, because sometimes the big stones can perforate the pipe if it's underweight, and to crush it. Ideally, under the corrugated or PVC pipe, you're going to put this and a layer of sand to cushion the pipe, and then on top you're going to cover the pipe with this. And so this is also about 20 tons of pea-sized gravel. So that gives you an idea of what that looks like. Hopefully we have enough. Back here, these are our 4-inch by 6-inch beams that we're going to use to support the deck. They are 12 foot long, and as you can see, they did this really cheaply when they first built this deck. This is not a 4x6. This is a 4x4, and they've attached a 2x4 to it to make it a 4x6, because that's really the minimum support you want on a deck. Same with that one, all the way down the line. So up here you can see that that is held on with a hurricane tie, and we're gonna support, let's see, so we've got this support and this support and this support. So between these two back here, it's right about here, we're going to put one of those beams, and then to protect in case one of these get knocked out, we want good support, so I'll probably put another one right there under the deck. This is corrugated pipe. This is non-perforated. Perforated means it has holes in it. So non-perforated, this is good to convey water out where you want it to. So behind this wall, we're planning 2 lengths of pipe. One, we want to come up about 1.5 feet, 2 feet, and put in one pipe the entire length of the wall, and we'll have a block wall and then stone behind it. The aggregate will be behind it, and running through that we'll have 2 pipes, one at about 1.5 feet or 2 foot, and 2 foot up from that we're going to have another pipe, or 1.5 feet above that we'll have another pipe, and then we'll have about 2 foot of, or a foot of gravel on top of that, and soil, a foot or 2 of soil on top of that. So we're looking at probably a 5-foot wall. So the perforated pipe will go behind the wall, and I'll show you that. So this is the perforated pipe, and if you can see, there are holes between these ridges, and water is going to be allowed to go into those holes. And then it's also got a sock over it. They call it a perforated corrugated pipe with a sock, and this allows water to get through, but not dirt and silt and that sort of thing, to keep the water flowing, but to prevent stuff that's going to clog up the pipe. So water will find the path of least resistance and travel through the pipe. And we've got 200 feet. These are 2 100-foot coils of pipe. So moving on to the retaining wall block. This is, they call it a platinum color, and I'm going to recommend you plan this months in advance and get your order in and figure out your delivery date, because I had like a choice of really just one color, maybe 2, but the idea is that this ridge will go behind a block behind it. So okay, so these blocks will sit next to each other with that lip down. There's the lip, and then the lip will sit on the back side of those, and you will have construction adhesive in between, and you just do this all along the wall. So that's how that works. The wall, these bricks should be totally level as you go up, and you end up with a wall. So beyond that, we have a pallet over here, and I'm keeping it wrapped in case we have to wait for a week. But under here we have grout, and I'll be putting mixing up grout. The bottom row of stones are going to be locked in by grout. You can also use a special locking paving sand for paving blocks. Also, there's sand under here, but basically I have 10 50-pound bags of grout, and we have paving sand under there, along with some more block. Altogether, we have 4.5 pallets of retaining wall block, and the top half of this pallet is grout mix and sand. So all of this is going to be scraped of dirt. There's going to be a taller wall here, and that's all going to be built up with dirt. And hopefully on this side, well, the bush is going to go immediately, and then hopefully we can grade out the dirt enough on this side to where that small wall won't even be necessary. It'll just kind of be a smooth gradation down, and we won't have to have a retaining wall, but we will dig down to the footer. And that brings me to my next supply. So this is another thing you want: fibered foundation coating. This is going to be great to coat the foundation with. If you're digging down next to the foundation, you may as well seal it. This is filter fiber. This is going to go between the dirt and the gravel. So you're going to have a dirt wall at first, because in front of the dirt you put the gravel, and in front of the gravel you put the wall. So this goes between anything that's dirt and anything that's gravel, and that will keep your dirt out of your gravel, because over time dirt will infiltrate the gravel. It'll clog your pipe, it'll clog everything up, which is part of the problem with the existing wall. Almost forgot one of the other things you need. This is contact adhesive, and what you want to do is, when you have your filter fiber, sometimes you're going to have to wrap it around PVC pipe that's perforated, that has holes in it. And in order to get this stuff to stay where you want it to stay, all you have to do is spray on this contact adhesive. It dries pretty quick. It'll get things to stick where you want them to stick, and then you can continue to lay out your preparations. So the masonry wheel, of course, you need an angle grinder for that. I recommend cordless. You're going to need these materials. If I come across anything in the process where we have to get additional supplies, I'll let you know. And I've never done this before. Like I said, it's new. Thanks for sticking with me through this, and thanks for learning with me.